Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. We're there. Made it to the end of the week. Hope you all are having a great morning so far. This morning, for our morning meditation, I want to go over a verse that you have maybe heard hundreds of times, maybe thousands of times, depending on your relation within the church community. And it's a verse that's always just been quoted with this phrase. And it's either to get you, again, to do something, to do something, to do something. You've got to make this all happen. Or as this response to kind of the grace idea, the idea of free grace and radical grace, and a salvation that Jesus provided. This is always the comeback. But let's take a look at it. It's in the book of Philippians, Paul, Apostle Paul writing, verses 12 and 13. He says, "Therefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, so now, not only as in my presence, but much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who works in you both to will and to work for his good pleasure." How many of y'all heard that verse before, right? Well, you just got to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Boy, the church loves their fear and trembling and their works. Can I propose that maybe we have read this verse wrong? First of all, context is important and sentence structure is important. The phrase in there, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, is not a complete sentence. It is literally in the middle of a sentence. Paul says, "Therefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, now not only in my presence, but much more in my absence, comma, continuing his thought, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, comma, continuing, for it is God who works in you both to will and to work for his good pleasure." Now, can I propose to you that Paul is not contradicting himself in the rest of his writings when he says salvation is supremely nothing of our doing. It is all his doing. Salvation is Jesus. Salvation is what Jesus has done, what Jesus has accomplished, what Jesus has provided. Salvation is all him, and it's all inclusive within him. It's not our doing. It's not our believing. It's not our confessing. It's not our faith. All of those things fall short. It is all his doing. He is not now in this verse contradicting all of his other writings. He is saying, listen, as you have always obeyed. Obeyed what? Obeyed me. That's what he's saying. As you've obeyed me, so now, not only in my presence, but in my absence. He's saying, listen, when I was there, you obeyed me. You listened to me. You took the words that I gave from God and you listened to them and you had them and you believed them. And that instruction was what guided you. You did it in my presence, now doing it in my absence. But here's the key. What I'm trying to get you is to get you off the milk and onto the meat, right? I'm trying to get you off the tit and onto real solid food. Now, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, for it is God who works in you both to will and to work that his good pleasure. What he's saying is, you've been allowing me to teach you, and there's still nothing, I'm not saying that we don't need teachers or anything like that, but he's saying, but now in my absence, you are able to walk this path of salvation with him guiding you. You don't need the teacher. You don't need this. You don't need that. And again, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying we don't need those things in the corporate essence. But again, even the scriptures say that no man teaches me. Paul said, when I had this encounter from God, no man taught me the revelation of the gospel. And we're not talking about just making everybody some maverick cavalier, whatever. I'm not talking about some kind of crazy nonsense. But this verse, in its context and in what it means, Paul was not telling them, you need to work out your salvation. No, what he's saying is, you're saved. We've covered that in all my writings. You know that. God has single-handedly saved each and every one of you. But now my instructions for salvation, my instructions for life, right? My instructions for living in this salvation, you work it out. You find that connection with God. You be open to Holy Spirit because He wants to work it and speak it to you, not just through a spokesperson or a mediator or a pastor or a priest or whatever. You can hear from God. You can hear the voice and follow the voice and follow the path of salvation, walking in the path of salvation. This is not about you have to somehow figure out your own salvation because, friends, we all know, unless you're just completely delusional, you and I have been around long enough to know we can't do it. It's impossible. We cannot work out our own salvation. If salvation is my responsibility, then I guess I'm going to hell because I can't do enough. And what is enough? Oh, I do good, then I fail to do. There's what's the baseline? What's the degree? If I'm 98% good, is that still good enough? Paul says if you miss one part of the law, you've disobeyed the whole law. We are not capable. That's why Jesus came, not to show us the way, but to be the way. He is our mediation. Your salvation today is firm and secure in the loving arms of Jesus. Your role today is to listen to Holy Spirit, listen to Jesus within, Father within, and just walk the path that they've laid out, that they've guided before you, the still small voice, the subtle promptings. That is the working out of your salvation. It's my morning meditation. Hope you all have a great day and into your weekend. We'll see you next time. Cheers.